Welcome everyone to Vested Interest. This is Shane back for a Stock Pick of the Day video. It is Thursday, April 10th. We're going to take a look at American Airlines. This is out of the industrial sector. This will be the last Stock Pick of the Day video for the week. We do these Monday through Thursday when the market's open. Take a look at a company's stock that's pulled back on the day, run it through the screener, and see if it makes it on my watch list. That's what we'll be doing here. Before we get too far in the video, if you could do me a big favor, do all the things down below. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. Join us on this journey to financial freedom. Hit that notification bell down below so you're notified whenever I put out any new content. Again, I do this Stock Pick of the Day video series Monday through Thursday when the market's open. I also do a portfolio update every Sunday, so tune back in for that one as well. There is the thanks button down below for anyone who might want to buy me a cup of tea and support the channel financially that way. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, you can pause this. This is the vested interest stock screener. This is a criteria we will be running through in the video. Must meet 5 of 8 to make it onto my watch list. And if it does, and just because it makes it onto my watch list does not necessarily mean I am buying. It just means I'm interested in doing more of a deep dive into the financials of a company, running it through a discounted cash flow analysis screener, and figure out a range that I'm willing to pay for the company. But if it doesn't make it on my watch list, I forego all that. It saves me a bit of time, and we move on to the next company. Must meet 5 of 8. If this was a financial company or out of the financial sector like a bank or an insurance company, then we add in price to book with 1 being fair value. Don't blindly use 1 as fair value for companies outside the financial sector. It doesn't necessarily work. And you want to compare those companies like in the industrial sector, technology sector, to themselves historically, as well as to other companies in the same sector doing the same type of business. All right, back to American Airlines. Check them out on their homepage, www.aa.com. That's www.aa.com. History of American Airlines, a history of many generations and industry first. Right, they're a airline company, right? If you need to take a flight somewhere, American Airlines would be one you could use. Delta, several others out there. Spirit, I think, is still around. Several others out there, but American Airlines is one of them. American was founded more than 95 years ago and has deep-rooted history, leading the industry through innovation and first, including hiring the first black USA commercial airline pilot, hiring the first female U.S. commercial airline pilot, launching the first loyalty program of any major carrier, and becoming the first airline to introduce airport lounges. For some of you, those firsts may have been a negative. For others, you're all okay with it. We'll just let you decide which camp you fall in. Not going to get political here on the channel. But going back to American Airlines, the reason we are taking a look at them, down 14.48% on the day, huge drop on the day. Now, this is not uncommon in the market we are currently in. I mean, even the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow can drop 4, 5, 6 points on a day. It seems like lately. So a 14.48% drop, though it is huge, doesn't necessarily surprise me anymore. But it is a big drop nonetheless. American Airlines, ticker AAL, out of the industrial sector, closed out the day at $9.51 per share. 52-week range, $8.50. So it is pretty close to their 52-week low. It also is within 15% of a 52-week low, $9.77 and lower there, with a high of $19.10. So definitely closer to its 52-week low currently. Market cap of $6.254 billion, a beta of 1.17, so they are more volatile than the overall market. 1 being the market, beta means the volatility of the market. PE, price to earnings ratio, is $7.67 per share. Earnings per share, EPS, is sitting at $1.24 per share. Earnings date coming up at the end of April, April 23rd through April 28th, sometime in there. They do not have a forward dividend yield listed, so I am wondering, did they cut the dividend on this one? It still shows that they're a dividend payer, but I'm not quite sure based on the data. Ex-dividend date, February 4th. Looks like they paid out on February 19th, right? So they did pay out a dividend recently, but they're not showing a forward dividend, and I looked at a couple different sources, and it was the same for each. So unless I missed something, and maybe they, if anyone knows, drop it in the comment section down below. Did they cancel the dividend here, American Airlines? Ex-dividend date, like we mentioned, 1-year target estimate at $14.55. So they see it going back up from here, at least according to Yahoo Finance, where I pulled this information from, but not quite back to its 52-week high. Jumping over to the right, typically I look at dividend yield theory to see if the company is potentially undervalued, but as you can see here, 5-year dividend yield average 1.27%, and nothing listed for current or forward, so I can't compare it. So we're not going to look at that. Payout ratio says it's 0, but stock analysis doesn't have them listed, so it leads me to believe either they've cut the dividend or the dividend is well over 100%. Dropping down here, free cash flow. I want growing free cash flow over time, because typically if a company has growing free cash flow, they can do some things with that. They can pay down debt, they can make acquisitions, reinvest back into the company, buy back shares, which this company looks like they're doing, pay a dividend, which I think they're still paying a dividend, and raise that dividend over time. But you've got to have the free cash flow to do all those things. So we want growing free cash flow. Going back here to December 2021, 496 million. 2022, not a good year, negative 373 million. December 2023, 1.2 billion, and 2024, 1.3 billion. So it looks like at least since 2022, they've had some increases. Repurchase of shares as well. Going back to December 2021, they pulled out 18 million here in 2021, 21 million in 2022, nothing in 23 or 24. So looks like at least over the last 5 years, they've had a bit of a downturn, but maybe have turned it around. We'll have to wait to see what 2025 looks like. Jumping over to stockanalysis.com, this is another source I go to for information. Again, not affiliated with stockanalysis.com or Yahoo Finance, just two sources I go to, and I do recommend more than one source so you can make sure the information you're looking at is accurate and up to date. Gives you a back check, right? Two, if not three sources is what I recommend and what I look at. 16 analysts that have taken a look at this, they call it a consensus buy, though it is right on the border of a buy and a hold. And if you were to go to stockanalysis.com, you could click on each one of these tabs, see how many might call it a strong sell, a hold, a buy, or a strong buy. Each one of these tabs would tell you out of the 16 where they fall. Do have a low estimate of $7. That would represent a 26.39% decrease from where it currently sits. Average estimate of $14.74, which is pretty close to what we saw with Yahoo Finance on the previous page. That would represent a 54.99% increase from where it currently sits. And if it happened to hit their high estimate of $26, that would represent a 173.4% increase. And I usually say all the while you could collect that dividend, but I'm starting to question, are they even paying a dividend anymore? Maybe the dividend has already been cut. Again, let me know if you own American Airlines or if you've read up on them. Have they cut the dividend recently? All right, jumping into statistics, I like to look at return on equity and return on invested capital, and I like 10% or better for both of these metrics. Return on equity was not listed, so can't really look at that one. Return on invested capital was at 6.1%, so under the 10% I'm looking for there. And I have mentioned there is another metric they call ROCE, ROCE, which kind of combines these two together. So I'm thinking of changing this to just looking at the ROCE. With 10% or better for that metric. But I need to do a little bit more research and see how they combine these two and if they're weighted in some way or something like that before I do that. EPS growth is forecasted at 30.22. It's much higher than the 5% or better I look for there. Revenue growth forecast at 3.83% is not part of my initial screener, but I do look at it when I do more of a deep dive into the financials. All right, stockanalysis.com is where this source is. This is their dividend history. Again, the last couple of slides have been stockanalysis.com. Frequency payout not listed. So again, it leads me to believe maybe they've cut the dividend. Payout ratio not listed. Dividend growth not listed. I'm really starting to think maybe they've cut the dividend. Buyback yield at negative 0.23%. So they're not doing a very good job buying back shares efficiently whenever they're undervalued. And shareholder yield is negative at negative 0.23% as well. They do pay out off schedule if they're still paying a dividend. February, May, August, November. Going back to August 17th, they were paying 10 cents. Looks like as recently as February. Well, yeah, that's it. February 2020 was the last dividend. So maybe they have cut the dividend. It looks like they haven't paid anything over the last 4 years. So this wouldn't be a dividend payer anyway. But let's finish out the video. Maybe there's some of you out there who are interested in this company and maybe they bring back the dividend at some time. All right, through the screener, understand the business. They're an airline, right? They're, like I said, a Delta, American Airlines, Spirit. If you've flown in a plane, you probably are well aware, or maybe you've flown on American Airlines. That's what they do. They're going to get you from point A to point B. Growing free cash flow over the last 4 years, nope. A little bit of up and down there. Growing dividend, no. And I'm, again, starting to question whether they're even paying a dividend. Dividend payout ratio is under 75%. They didn't have it listed. Dividend yield theory says they're potentially not valued because we don't have 5 years of data to go off or a current yield to look at. Buy below current cost basis or within 15% of a 52-week low. That's a check. Return on invested capital, return on equity over 10% or equal to the industry. Nothing there. Return on equity wasn't even listed. Return on invested capital was under 10%. Earnings per share growth, yes, there was earnings per share growth 30%. So that was actually good. So 3 of 8 does not make it on my watch list, not even close. Let me know what you think of American Airlines. And again, have they really not paid a dividend since 2020? And should I even consider them a dividend payer anymore? All right, as always, appreciate you stopping by. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to show me some love. Hit that thumbs up, ring the notification bell. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Join us on this journey to financial freedom. Join the vested interest community. Excuse me. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of American Airlines. I do personally read and respond to the comments. I'm always interested to read your questions, opinions, or suggestions for future topics. So if you have a company like American Airlines that pays a dividend you'd like me to cover in the Stock Pick of the Day video series, drop in the comment section. I'll try to work it into the rotation on a day it pulls back. And this is Shane signing off, wishing peace and prosperity to you and yours. And remember, financial security comes to those who take a vested interest. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you in the next one. I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing in this presentation should be considered financial advice. I'm only sharing my opinion. Invest for educational and entertainment purposes. Invest involves risk. You can lose money. You should never invest any amount you're not comfortable losing. Always do your own research. Invest based on your situation, circumstances, and select criteria, or see the advice and counsel of a certified financial advisor.